Well, welcome back to OG's Garage. Today we're going to be working on changing the oil and the filter on this '05 Hyundai Santa Fe 3.5. So let's get started. Okay, let me show you what you're going to need in order to make your oil change. You're going to need a wrench. This is a box wrench. I kind of prefer that. It doesn't slip as easy. It's number 17. You're going to need a oil filter removal tool to remove your oil filter. Now you can buy oil filter that fit exactly on your oil filter, and I'll kind of I loaned mine out and I never got it back, but I'll show you what it looks like. What it does is it fits right on your oil filter so that you can unscrew it from your block. Okay, that's what you can pick those up at Harbor Freight or your favorite auto store. That's another thing. If you're going to buy that this little cap, this little tool, you're probably going to need a socket wrench. You might really even need an extension for that, unless you want to take the shroud off, which I'll show you is on there. So there you go. So those are the things you're going to need. Now I'm going to show you how to remove and change that oil without using a jack, without jacking up your car, doing anything other than just removing that bolt and draining your oil and putting the oil filter on. So you don't have to jack up your car unless you want to. And I'm just going to show you how to do that the easiest way. And of course you're going to need your oil and your oil filter, and you're going to need something to catch your oil, at least five quarts of oil. You should have a something that's going to fit, because you're not jacking the car up. You need to fit, it has to fit on that between where you're draining the oil and of course the ground or the floor, whatever you're doing. So, okay, first of all I'm going to show you where the drain is on your oil case. So go over here to the passenger side of the car, turn your wheel so you give yourself a little more room when you crawl under there. So turn your wheel that way. Now let's go down and see where that drain is. So if you go under here, right by your tailpipe here, you can see where that drain plug is, right there. Okay, that's what you have to remove, that drain plug. Okay, it's right here by your tailpipe, by your frame. So get your 17 wrench and remove that bolt. Now when you remove that bolt, the oil is going to come pouring out, so you have to have your tray ready to accept that oil. Okay, you want to probably try and do this. I'm removing this with my fingers, so get ready for that oil to shoot out there. There it goes. So, and make sure that your tray is able to hold at least 5 quarts of oil, otherwise you're going to have a mess on your hands all over the floor. So now if you have a tray that doesn't accept 5 quarts, you're going to have to put that plug back in there and drain the oil out of your tray and then come back and do it again. So that's one way of doing it. Alright, we'll let that drain. Okay, at this time you might want to inspect your plug too. Make sure that it's good. Now, if any part of this inner ring here, the inside is cracked or broken, replace that washer. Do not use that washer again. On the inside part of this washer, if it's cracked, replace it. Clean your plug real good, get rid of all the debris. You should be good to go. Okay, after all that oil is drained out, and you can see that it's just down to a little trickle. You can then go ahead and replace that, replace your plug. Okay, now we're going to find where the filter is. It's like you look at the front of your car on the passenger side, and we just go down like right under your bumper here, and you go underneath. Underneath here, and then what you want to look for is this hole right here. There's a hole in your shroud right there, and if you look inside there, let's see if I can get the light up in there. Get the light up in there, you'll be able to see the filter right up in here, that white thing here. Let me back up just a little bit. If I can, a little close. So right up in there you see the filter, the bottom of it. Right here, and so I got my little wrench here, and put that right up in there, and what that does, it goes around that filter in there like that. Okay, just encircles the filter, and then you have to turn it. I might have to use a little force to remove that. You might have to get some pliers or something, or screwdriver in there to break it loose. Once you break it loose, and it just should unscrew off of there. Now make sure you got your oil tray ready, because it does have oil in it. And get that under there. and it'll start dripping. And you unscrew it, you're going to get oil on your hands, so if you got a problem with it, you might want to wear your gloves. But let that drop into that tray, and we got room. Get you ready to put your oil filter, new one, back on there. Put a little oil on your finger. Go around that gasket. What that does is it helps spin that so the gasket doesn't bind up on the metal. So there's no other reason to put this oil on it, or just to keep it from binding on the metal on the other side. You always want to put a little oil on when you're going to do something like that. That way, when you're putting it on, it doesn't bind. It goes on smooth and it goes on tight. Yeah, let's go back up to where you were. And we'll put that filter back up in the hole there. And spin it on. And when you get pretty tight, give her about maybe another 1/16 of an inch turn, a 1/16 of a turn, not 1/16 of an inch, but 16, till it's hand tight. You don't want to tighten that with the wrench or anything. Tighten it pretty snug with your hand, and you're going to be fine. Okay, now you changed your filter, and all we have to do now is add the oil. So for you folks who aren't familiar with where to put the oil in there, it's right under the hood, under this cap. Let's unscrew it. Now, when you open up your oil, make sure you clean up, because most of these have a little seal on there. Make sure you clean that seal off real good. You don't want any of that seal going down into your oil, into your crankcase. So get that all set to go. Now I recommend, after you pour a couple of quarts of oil in your motor, stop and check for leaks. Go underneath and check, make sure your oil filter isn't leaking, and your drain plug isn't leaking. Okay, after you're sure there's no leaks either from your oil filter or your drain plug, go ahead and finish putting in the rest of the oil. However, leave about a half a quart of oil in your bucket, because this particular engine doesn't take a full 5 quarts. So even if you're a little shy of oil later on, you can always add a little bit more. But there you go. That's just my suggestion. So the two tools I used today was the filter removal wrench and a number 17 box wrench. The oil I used was the full synthetic. It's a 10W30. The Fram filter that I used was a TG9688. Instead of using a number 17, you can also use a 11/16 socket or open end or box wrench if you don't have a metric 17. Also, you can use a 10W30 regular oil, motor oil. You don't have to use the synthetic unless you want to. It's a couple of dollars difference, that's all. I got these at Walmart for like 18 to 20 bucks or something. The filter is only $6-7 or something. So you can buy these filter removals just about anywhere for removing that filter if you don't have that tool there. Well, there you go. We changed the oil and the filter with just 2 wrenches. No jack stands, no jacks, no tire removal, just 2 wrenches. 17 and oil filter wrench. You can crawl under there. If I can do it, you can do it. Unless you're a little endowed, you might have to jack up the car, but there you go. 2 wrenches. If you jack up the car, make sure you use stands. Thanks for watching OG's Garage, and we'll catch you next time.